jumpers which have like leopards and flowers and everything, and they're from these incredible crafts people that I've met over in Scotland that you know, kind of built up those skills. They would have learnt them from maybe when they were 15 and sort of went into it like a trade in the knitting factories, and it's kind of like mind-blowing to think that that's what they did all day, but that's what they did. Yeah, so that's it. Any questions? Anybody? Yeah.
So you were talking about kind of measurements, and I guess it's like to do with the symmetry of the patterns.
Yeah.
And for measuring, do you just kind of count? Is it the needles on the top? Is that how you work out?
You work out. So for that, you have to write a knitting pattern. So what you would do is you get. I would get like a. I would firstly select the yarn and select the colour that I'm going to use. And I would do up a small, like a sample about this size, like a square. And I might do it in several different tensions, because just to see the different, like, see whether it's better to knit it tight or loose in that particular yarn. Even though it might be wool and it might be the same kind of yarn, if it's a different brand, it can actually knit up totally differently. And then, of course, I would try it out in the washing machine, because everything has to be washed and felted, and shrink it, pre-shrink it. And then from that, then I count, you know, how big is that sample. So if 100 stitches gives me 15 centimetres, I know how many stitches per centimetre. And then I do a kind of a mock-up, a rough garment. I'll show you now here. So I would get like a cheap fabric, like a cheap jersey, and do like a paper pattern, a bit like people do pattern cutting, and then like fiddle around with that until I get the shape and the size and, you know, get it right. And then once I've got that, I'll go back to my paper pattern, measure it in centimetres, go calculate how many stitches per centimetre, and then that way I start to get the shape. And then once I've got that shape, I then do up a chart in the shape of the garment, and then start to draw on it. And yeah, so that's kind of, yeah, it's quite mathsy knitting, like really simple maths, not like, you know, rocket science maths, but there's lots of arithmetic and adding up, and yeah, you sort of need like that side of your brain as well a little bit for it. It's not just, it's very technical, you know.
Is it easy to undo a mistake, or?
No, not well. You know, it depends. If you come across, if you're in your carriage and you haven't put down any yarn, or the yarn has come out of the carriage, it just falls off totally. And then you can either elect to spend an hour like painstakingly putting the stitches back on, or else you can start from scratch. So it can be, but if it's like you've made a bit of a mistake, you can go back and repair with embroidery afterwards, especially for, like, you can kind of fake it a little bit by like embroidering into it. You can do quite a lot of fixing afterwards, or else unravel back, but it's very fiddly, you know, they are fiddly machines. So I'm a technician in the art college as well for 2.5 days, and you know, you hear a lot of frustration from the students, yeah, until it kind of clicks, you know. But can be quite slow to learn, you know. It's definitely not easy. You need a lot of patience, but it's very, very rewarding. So, any other questions? Any knitters here? Anyone knit? No.
How do you get your designer brand to market? I know you sell direct with the
well, I have at the minute. I have a website, kind of an oldish website, so I'm kind of redoing that. I have my Instagram as well. I use Facebook. I wouldn't be the best. It's partly why I'm doing this event, because I have been beavering away for a lot of years, and I don't think people really realise that I'm here.
Well, you sell direct to the public with your designer stuff as well now?
Well, they can buy off here. At the minute, I'm stocked in a shop called Bloss down in Dundrum Town Centre, and they're selling for me. They're selling the designer stuff. I don't sell it really at the market, because there's such a price cut-off point, you know.
You haven't thought of a showcase or something like that?
I've done showcase,
and
yeah. I've done that.
Work out for you?
I think because my stuff I don't think my buyer is there in showcase.
Yeah, I think it's about the two.
Because really, the more, because obviously, so showcase for everybody that maybe has done it or knows what we're talking about is a trade fair that's for Irish designers in Dublin, where you can set up a stall and try to at shops, and buyers go to it. And it's kind of there's like a whole back section which is like shamrocks and shillelaghs and kind of stuff for like the kind of tourist kind of market. and then the front of it is kind of like trying to promote Irish design, but really the shops that will be coming even to my stand to show interest would be kind of like Irish, sort of medium sort of Irish boutiques, and so they want a jumper to sell for say €220, and then they want to buy it off me in order to sell it to get their profit that they'd want to maybe pay max €80.
Sounds like Callan design.
Yeah, and then your wool is so much money, this is so much money, so then you can kind of come away from, I don't know if any of you have ever supplied shops, but you can come away sort of by the time they take that 60% of the RRP. So therefore I need to get into a higher market again. Do you know what I mean? I need to get into Bergdorf Goodman, do you know, with this stuff. Not with them, with this stuff it's much more, it's like when I sell these scarves for £35 at the market, £40, like it's very reasonable for handmade and made in Ireland and pure wool, do you know? So, but the other end of it, because it's so slow, like I can't really sell it for any less than like a big, a designer price tag. And those buyers aren't at Showcase, I find. Not in droves anyway. You might get one or two.
Contemporary and Irish at the same time, really. I think
what's that?
It's hard to be contemporary and Irish as well. There's a lot of people expect you to the Irish up.
Yeah. I think the Design and Crafts Council of Ireland are moving away a little bit from that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I was very distracted for years because I'd go down there and there was like Japanese buyers coming in just buying armfuls of Arons and stuff, and some of it's made in Lithuania and they put a label on it in Ireland and it says made in Ireland, but like it's not, and you're trying to compete against that. So maybe I think there's a bit of an open. I think there's more and more Irish knitwear designers now that are coming through that kind of don't trade too much on the Aran thing. I mean, it's hard. It's like such an established brand, Like the Irish are just the best brand makers ever. Just to convinced everybody that this tiny country is like full of really fun, cool kind of people, and so it's hard not to piggyback on the back of it. And I did for a while, because I was like, I really need to make money, and I'm going to start doing herringbone scarves because they're selling. But I kind of sold a bit. I sold a good bit. Like I definitely sold a good bit of it, but it's not really where my heart is, and I really think that comes through whenever you're a designer. And I think you have to follow really what you love and what you would do, whether you're going to make money or not. And hopefully, I don't know. But yeah, not something wrong with herringbone scarves. Lots of people wear herringbone scarves, but there's lots of people doing them. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Okay.